Well, hi everybody. Welcome to the New England Racing Show, Manchester, New Hampshire, Channel 23. Also on YouTube, and like us on Facebook. You'll get the show automatically on your Facebook page. Well, we have a special guest today. For the first time we've had a guest is Mike Douglas Jr., son of Mike Douglas Sr., who was a famous super modified driver in the area back in the 80s and 90s, I believe. And Mike drives a modified in the Valente Modified Series, the number 23. And I remember him watching him at Lee a couple of years ago at the Oktoberfest. He ran away with the show. And then he ran at Star for a while, and now he's running the Valente Series again. So welcome to the show, Mike.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
Okay, great. Well, we're going to talk about Mike's career in a little bit. But we were at Waterford this past Saturday, and we took a pit tour of all the ISMA Supers. And we did tape the race, but the lighting was so poor at Waterford that we're not going to bother trying to show it. And the race was okay. Mark Samet was the winner.
Yeah, number 78.
Yeah, and Rob Summers was a runner-up, second place, and John McKennedy third. And John McKennedy won at Lee the previous night, Friday night. And I do want to point out that, well, this is a 65.
That's Tim Ice, I believe.
Yep, Tim Ice. And the 27 was right across from him. That was Jamie Timmons.
Former 350 driver at the USA Speedway and Star Speedway.
Yeah, there's a few of them that moved up to ISMA. This is Allison Cummins, a young lady that used to race quarter midgets at Oak Lane Speedway in Pennsylvania. She's moved up to the big ISMA cars and does pretty good. And her brother Ian drives NEMA Midget. So they're a racing family. But I do want to point out that at Lee Friday night it was standing room only. And if you've been to Lee, this is Eddie Whitcomb Jr., son of Eddie Whitcomb Sr., another famous super driver, along with Mike Douglas Sr. at Star on a weekly basis. But there wasn't an empty seat in the house. We had to stand down by the first corner to watch the race at Lee Speedway. We couldn't find a seat, my sons and I. And we're standing in turn one. Here, turn one, somebody would scrape the wall, all this concrete dust would come flying up and cover everybody.
He's got a lot of seating, so that was very good to see.
It was an exciting race when you're standing 20 feet away from the cars going by. And then at Waterford, it was pretty much the same thing, a full house. This is the 29 car of Bobby Chartier.
Looks like a fairly new car.
Yeah, I think it's one of the, I don't know if it's one of the Allegresso type cars. I have to look at the tail there. No, it looks like a Belfiore, huh?
I was going to say, it looks like a Belfab type deal. Jim's been around for a long time, him and Justin.
Jim's out in where, Vegas?
I believe Jim's out in Nevada, and he builds the cars out there.
And here's the legendary driver, Chris Purley, the Vic Miller car. How long's that thing been around?
It's been around a while. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, there was a lot of good shoes in that 11. And I can think of Larry Record. Gosh, there's just so many. I remember Nate Botwell in it. Yep. I mean, Vic's always had top-notch equipment and top-notch drivers to go along with it, and that and Chris is probably one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet in the pits.
In Bentley's book, Bentley Warren's book, he says that Chris Purley is the best super modified driver ever. And if he says it, I believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a 79 of John McKennedy. You've seen that car quite a bit.
Oh yeah. I've raced with John a lot. Really nice kid. Don't say too much, but I got to tell you, the kid really doesn't need to talk when he shows all his action out on the track. Just a real good kid. He'll run you fast, he'll run you clean, and whatever the kid sits in, I mean, he's just liquid fast. I mean, he's one of the guys, in my opinion, that really deserves a shot at the big leagues.
Didn't he win the title in the Valente series?
Yeah, I believe he did. I don't know if he's a one-time champion or a two-time champion, but either way, the kid's got a lot of talent, and very. He's just an all-around nice kid. Him and his father, Dennis.
Yeah, they're totally committed.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the Dunnigan cars that are left over. I guess they're all sitting around except for this one car that they're letting Kennedy use. This is Dan Bowes in the 25. He's another one that stepped up from small blocks at Lee to go big block racing. And I guess they're getting another new car built. I don't know if this is going to be their backup, but another new car with a new engine.
Well, if they need a driver, you can give me a call.
I don't think Danny would want to do that.
No, I don't think so either.
But they have, I guess those are heaters that's plumbed into the engine to keep the engines warm in the pits so that when they go out, they don't have to warm them up. And they cover the engines. What's that, to keep the fuel cool?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, when we used to run on Thompson, the World Series, we'd always carry a little space heater with us and put it right on the oil tank. This way here, you weren't going out with cold oil.
Yep. And this is a 37 of Jeff Locke. He's from Chester, New Hampshire, and he races ISMA. We've done some in-car cameras that he's been letting us use, and I'm just amazed at the quality of this car. And Jeff's a pretty good driver. He finished third or fourth in one of these races. He was right there.
And the team car to that out in Oswego, driven by Randy Riskus, I believe won the Triple Crown, or the one of the Midway championships out in Oswego, and they got that car running real good out there too.
Yeah. The wingless ones have a lot more aerodynamic body.
They're a lot more like an F1 car versus a Super.
Yeah. I saw a head-on picture of one of those, and you couldn't even see the engine.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit of the stacks sticking out. The engine's pretty much enclosed in the car. But this is just a beautiful car.
I believe that's an Allegresso car as well.
Ben Seitz, former NEMA midget driver, stepped up to ISMA. And that's a beautiful car, too. He was pitted next to us at Lee Friday night, and I was just admiring that car.
There's your eventual winner, Mark Salmon.
Yep. We talked to Mark at Lee. That's an older car. I think he said it's been around for 13 years. It's got a coil-over rear. Just a very basic car.
If I had to take a guess, it almost looks like it's a Graves by the way the roll cage looks. Looks pretty familiar to me because that's all my father used to run. That, and he ran a Belfiore for a couple of years.
Oh. Now, and the 74 car is almost a teammate type car of the 78. They're both pretty much the same. Robbie Summers drives that.
Uh-huh. Boy, this brings back memories, I'll tell you that. I love looking at these things.
Now, did you work on your dad's car with him?
Oh, yes. Yeah, probably one of my biggest regrets is not being able to run a big block Super. But here we have, it looks like Eric Lewis's car.
Lewis, right.
I remember when he used to run out in Oswego weekly.
Oh.
Had his own car.
We talked to him. He built this car with Brian Allegresso. And I asked him if it was pretty much the same as McKennedy's 78 or 79 car. He said, yeah, but it's prettier.
Yeah, something else.
And this is Mike Nedishin from Auburn, New Hampshire. Step up from small block Supers. In fact, I think he still has a small block.
Yes, he does. He hurt his leg a little while back there before the Oxford race, and I was trying to work out a deal with him to let him run it at Oxford, and I'm like, I'll buy tires, I'll buy everything, but no go.
Oh, how come?
I don't know. I don't think he wanted. I think he wanted to run it before me. So maybe we'll catch up with Mike some other time, I guess.
Super Dave Sanborn. This was Mike Ordway's small block a couple of years ago, which I think was a big block at one time. Now it's a big block again.
He had a hard wreck at the end of the year down at Thompson. Mangled that car up. And
that car there?
No, not that one. It was I believe it was his Belfiore. I'm not quite sure, but I know he took a pretty hard hit. It just goes to show you how safe these cars really are. I've never seen that car.
There's Robbie Summers' car.
Now, didn't Johnny Benson Jr. Used to drive that?
Yep. Coil over rear. A lot like Mark Sammons. We had a coil over rear a few years ago, but PJ said it. He likes the torsion bars in the back because they don't react as fast. The coil over would want to snap around on you.
I think the torsion. I've never driven a Super, but from what I've heard, the torsion bar cars are a little bit more forgiving as well.
This is 46 Ryan Coniam.
His father, a big guy out in the '70s at Oswego.
Yeah, that's Ryan there. So I asked, "Where's Warren?" And he said he's sitting right over there, and Warren was kind enough to let us interview him.
Here with
right there.
Warren Coniam, Ryan's dad, and a legend in super modified in his own right. Warren, tell us about your racing career.
Well, it was a great time. Met a lot of great people, came out with a lot of good friends, and now I enjoy doing it with my son.
And how is it watching your son race?
Sometimes you get a little bit of a knot in your stomach, but he knows what he's doing. He's pretty sharp racetrack driver.
Now, we watched him at Lee last night, and he was leading the race, and it looked like he was going to run away with it. What happened?
We had an oil leak on some header wrap, and the oil caught fire. Started to smoke, so he had to pull it in. They black flagged him.
Now, I understand that you were a friend of Jimmy Champine's.
Yeah, it was. Very good friend. Great guy.
Can you tell us a little bit about him?
He was just a fantastic guy. He was probably years ahead of his time for designing and building race cars.
And you drove his rear engine car, right?
I did. I put more laps on his rear engine car in one night than he put on it since he built it.
Well, that car was a legend too. It was so good they outlawed it, right?
It was a good car. I know it ran awful fast in the Classic. We had that one until we split an oil tank.
Okay, Warren. Well, good luck today with your son, and thanks a lot.
These are some of the supers coming off the track and after practice.
Tight pits over there at Waterford.
Yeah, making a sharp right-hand turn.
Oh, you know it.
Then if you're going to the back pitch, you have to keep, it's a hairpin turn. And unfortunately, Allison Koomans broke a axle right there at the left rear hub and slammed into the wall. So that ended her day.
Waterford's not a place you want to hit either. Well, not that any place is, but...
Yeah. Well, not as bad as Lee.
No.
But, okay, well, tell us about your career.
It's just like anybody else's whose father ran. There's a lot of us, second-generation drivers I can point out. The Hellwells, Barills, and stuff like that. Just something I always wanted to do. Grew up at a racetrack. And, here I am just kind of doing what I've always wanted to do.
So when they had Victory Lane with your dad and You were the little kid standing there.
Oh, you bet. Goofy little hat and everything.
Yeah. I remember a story. I'll tell you a story about your dad. My friend Ronnie Poitras and I used to do the Speedy Dry at Stars. So we'd be in the infield, and your dad was still running a late model.
No boy.
With Mo Tweedy.
Oh, the famous Mo Tweedy story. Yeah. Yes. Times were different back then, so I've been told.
Well, yeah. So they got together and the end of the back straightaway, and they both got out of their cars. They threw a red flag, and they both got out, and Mo and Mike started going at it. So Ronnie and I, being friends of your dad, we sort of like surrounded them to make sure that nobody would step in, because your dad was getting the best of Mo. He was really pounding on him.
Dad's just a scrappy
you
little
didn't
guy.
mess with him.
No.
And Mo didn't know that. So your dad's pounding on Mo, and we're standing around, and some people were trying to get in to break it up, and we're pushing them away, and then I hear, "Get your hands off me!" And I look up, and there's this huge Epping cop.
Okay, so everyone has the same basic thing. The Epping cop was a very big guy.
No, he was
evidently.
huge. And he said, so Ronnie's like, I'm sorry. And the Epping, we got out of his way, and he went in and started breaking it up. And we were just hoping that we weren't going to get arrested for pushing him back. Ronnie apologized to him about 10 times, and he let it go. But that was a story with Mo and your dad.
That's a pretty infamous story. That gets told to me at least two times a year.
Oh, well,
at
we
least.
had the front row seats.
Well,
we were
that's
the
good to know.
guys holding everyone back, or trying to.
Well,
of course, that was 30 years ago, too.
Well, Dad's still like that, just not as bad. Just he's like Popeye, you know.
Oh, really?
Get the big forearms.
Is he like the guy at the motorcycle place that yells at the kids?
Oh, no. Dad's pretty mild-mannered. You really got to push him over the line. I've only seen that once or twice, and that was enough for me.
Oh, okay. So you take it pretty easy there?
Oh, yeah. Dad.
Yeah. It's nice that he let you out to come and do this show at 2 in the afternoon.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, we got to keep everybody happy, and I'm just happy you wanted to have me here. To be honest with you, there's a lot better, in my opinion. There's a lot more better drivers you could get in, but to have me on, it's a good honor for me.
Oh, great. Well, we're glad to have you here. So when did you start racing modifieds?
Modifieds was actually I'll say a happy mistake. I used to run a hobby stock at Lee Speedway, and every time I won a race, there was some kind of modifieds there. I won 3 races one year, and every time I was there, either back then they were the True Value modifieds, and the Pro 4 modifieds. So after my 3rd win, the True Value modifieds were there, and I went around and I looked at them when my car was getting teched, and I told Dad, I said, "Dad, these cars are kind of cool." And so I looked it up on the internet and looked at the rules and everything, and the rules seemed like they were pretty good. That fall, we went to the Thompson flea market, bought a frame and a chassis, nothing else on it. We didn't know what we were doing, so we just started, kind of going from there. And like anything else, we had our hard times with it. We just kept at it, and that's the biggest thing. Here we are. We run a Spafco car. I firmly believe we have one of the most. We have a very, good car. Mm-hmm. We got great motors in it, done by Kingsley Automotive. Our car's very well maintained. Any time of night you come over, Dad and I were out in the shop.
That's your thing, I know.
You got it.
It is a beautiful car. It's black with pink number 23 on it, and it stands out, which is what you want. You want to be able to see your car out there. There's a lot of black cars and a lot of white cars, and you've got to stand out.
No one has pink. It's funny, when I started, my cars were black cars with bright orange numbers.
Yep.
And it seemed about 4 years after that, everybody had a black car with orange numbers. So I decided to go the other way. And when I used to race RC cars, all my cars were pink. So we decided to throw some pink on there and change it up. And lo and behold, now I'm starting to see more black cars with pink numbers on them.
Oh, Well, who are your sponsors and who's your pit crew?
Well, sponsors are Douglas Auto, of course.
Yep.
Picked up Total Seal piston rings from out in Phoenix, Arizona, actually owned by the Moriartys, who used to run a big block super at Lee and Star Speedway and on the ISMA circuit. We have Tisdale Transmissions out in Londonderry, New Hampshire, run by Doug Tisdale. And like I said before, we have, name slipped me. Oh, yeah, there you go, Lenny Kingsley, Kingsley Automotive.
Yep.
And we picked up a new sponsor, helping us kind of, just helping us with, little things along the way. Black Mountain Painting up in the North Country, I believe, and it's on the Claremont, Claremont, New Hampshire, Vermont border. He's been helping us out a little bit, but it's mostly, done by, by us, and we have fun with it. We're not as, well funded as some of the other teams, but boy, we give them a run for their money most of the time.
Do. Well, you don't need a big pit crew. It's you and your dad, and who else?
We have Cynthia Tibbetts. She helps us out. She, I got to tell you, if you ever want to pick her brain on racing's past, you'll definitely learn something.
No, I see her on Facebook. She's a friend. She lives in Oswego?
No, that's just something we do. I mean, if you look on my Facebook, it says I live in Sarasota, Florida.
Okay. So she's
maybe
joking.
one day.
Okay. I didn't think so. I didn't think she drove to
no.
Star Speedway.
If she lived in Oswego, I'd be running a big block super out there.
Yeah.
But we have they come and go. Corey Casagrant, who also drives a limited late model down at the Stafford Speedway. Kid does pretty good. And Alex Grab, who works on a couple of teams, they come and help us out whenever they can. They're really good kids. But if you you look down at the Stafford racing website, that kid Corey Casagrant does pretty good.
Good. Well, it looks like you're running a successful team now. I kind of a little critical of the Valente series because of the long races, and I've called it the ride-around series where they ride around for 70 laps and then race. But tell us your feelings on that.
Well, I think it's anything else. I mean, I think that's the reason why NASCAR has gotten kind of boring. The race is too long. Guys are just riding around. The thing is, the track that really doesn't, it's very, very critical is Lee, because there's not a lot of grip at Lee. Mm-hmm. And it's just one of those things where if you go and you go early, you're not going to have anything around lap 75 or 80.
Right.
The thing is they always tell you at a young age is to save your stuff, be patient, so you can be there at the end. And I think that's just a product of what you have always been taught.
Well, like the supers were 75 laps, no pit stops. Do you think maybe Valente would end up going that way?
I don't think so. I mean, it's kind of hard for me to say when I'm only running maybe 4 or 5 Valente shows a year. We really concentrated on the tri-track open modified series, which I was ecstatic to be a part of, especially when we were racing against some really very extremely talented guys, like Bobby Santos is in the Woody Pitt Cats, and guys
Ryan
like that.
Preece.
Yeah, the Priestes. I mean, it's hard to run side by side, or even get up to the guy, when he's he's got nationwide. They've run nationwides and trucks before. So even just to be with them, it's a great feeling.
Well, how was your experience at Seekonk, which was the third leg of that?
Seekonk, 42 cars showed up for 25 spots. We got in through one of the second consolation events, holding off Les Hinckley. That was a big thing because Les is multi-time feature winner there in the Valentes. And just to get in the show, to me, was a big honor. I believe there was maybe only 12 or 13 of us that went to all those tri-track shows and actually made all the races. And that was that's a very good feeling. But
well, I watched it on YouTube. Sid's Vault Productions did the race, the third leg of the race at Seekonk, and they did a wonderful job, really professional. So I urge you to go check that out and watch Mike and the rest of the modifieds there. Also, NEMA was there and NEMA Lights. So it was Open Wheel Wednesday.
Yep.
And I'd like to see more of those. Seekonk was pretty crowded, pretty much like Waterford and Lee were. So, I mean, it's great to see short track racing making a comeback, so to speak. I hope they can keep it up. And now, as everyone wants to talk about the Tony Stewart thing, so we'll just say a few words about that may not have been pointed out before. There are videos. There is a video on the internet, on YouTube, an amateur video that shows what happened. We noticed last night, my son pointed out to me that someone had taken that video and changed the audio portion of it so that as Tony went by the kid,
You heard you heard
Kevin
the engine,
Ward,
you
you hear the engine roar, like he gave it the gas real quick to scare the kid just as he hit him. But that's not what happened. He was just going around without hitting the gas, and someone doctored it to make it seem like he buzzed the kid. And I just wanted to point that out. The car in front of him, as they went around to take the yellow, managed to miss Kevin, and one of the pit crew members on Facebook, he says he's a pit crew member of the 45, said that the driver of that 45 car almost hit the kid, and Tony was right behind him, and he swerved to avoid the kid, and Tony, being nose to tail, may not have had time to avoid the kid. So it wasn't that the 45 was running low and Tony was running high. They were both nose to tail, and the 45 swerved to avoid Kevin at the last second, and Tony may not have had time to do that. But to say that Tony intentionally ran the kid down, I mean,
that's absolutely asinine. Anybody that thinks that, you've probably never been to a racetrack or ever sat in a race car. It's like the Monday morning quarterback thing. It was an unfortunate incident, and that's what people really need to focus on. I don't think they need to focus on who was at blame. It's
And how can you put intent in somebody's mind?
You can't. I mean,
see what
like I told you, out there. There's a lot of guys that I'll tell you, I particularly don't care for, but that would be the absolute last thing on my mind to do, because when it all comes down to it, we all got to go to work on Monday morning.
Sure, and I mean, we're all in this together. But it's just an unfortunate incident, and if anything good comes of this, it's that all these tracks will pass some kind of rule saying that you're going to stay in your car unless there's a fire and you've got to get out, until the safety crew comes and tells you can get out. Then when you get out, you do not approach other cars on the track. You just stay with your car, maybe help them hook up to the tow truck, and maybe get in the car and steer it back to the pits.
And right from the beginning, the Valenti Modified Racing Series has always had that rule.
Oh, they have?
You must stay in your vehicle unless you feel something obvious, fire or anything like that. I know it is a fine and I don't know if it's loss of points or anything. Anyone that follows me on Facebook, I posted that last night, or you can find me on Twitter at Mike Douglas Jr. 23.
Well, we were racing our midget down at Waterford, and we have a NEMA light. One of the NEMA cars got spun out, and the driver was in the infield. He tried to run out onto the track to confront the other driver, just like what happened, and he was fortunately pulled back by the safety crew. So, we got to stop this practice. But anyway, thanks, Mike, for coming.
Hey, I appreciate it.
We'll
Anytime.
see you again, and we'll see you next week with some more action from Lee Speedway. Hopefully, we want to tape the unpredictable hobby stocks. Thanks for joining us.